the West Somerset Railway, 20 miles of wooded hills, dales and sea, forming the longest preserved railway in England. The original broad gauge line was built in two parts. Norton Fitzwarren to Watchet opened in 1862, and the extension to Minehead followed in 1874. In 1971, the entire branch was closed by British Rail, but only 5 years later, a new West Somerset Railway began to reopen the line. Today, the West Somerset Railway runs through some of the finest scenery in the West Country, ranging from the coastal plain and beaches of Blue Anchor Bay to the rounded Quantock Hills. It is as varied and beautiful as any railway in England and captures the authentic atmosphere of a Great Western branch line. We start on the coast at Minehead. Minehead has been a popular resort since Victorian times, and there is a surprising contrast of old and new. As well as the steam trains, old harbour and sandy beach, there are amusements and water sports.
Butlin's Somerset World is a major attraction, and its lively fun fair is open to day visitors as well as the traditional campers. Beyond the town is Exmoor, one of Britain's first national parks. Its wooded valleys and gentle moorland make it a haven of wild beauty. Once a royal forest, Exmoor has been disturbed only by iron mining and sheep farming. Today, the villages hiding in sheltered valleys and combes complement this ancient wilderness. One such settlement is Selworthy, where traditional thatched cottages have been preserved by the National Trust. The heather and grass moors provide peaceful recreation and solitude. Much of the high moorland is part of the National Trust's Holnicott estate and includes some of the loveliest parts of the national park. Many walkers aim for Dunkery Beacon. At 1,705 feet, this is Exmoor's highest point, and the views are incredible.
We return to Minehead, where the station doubles as the headquarters for the West Somerset Railway. When opened in 1874, this was a small terminus with only one platform, but now the station is the longest on the line. The railway's locomotive department is based at Minehead. The only covered accommodation is a small goods shed, now converted to a depot and workshop. So there's often a good selection of locomotives on view outside. Number 2271, a Drury Class 060 shunter, is the Minehead Station Pilot and was built for British Rail in 1958 by Robert Stevenson and Hawthorne. The diesel mechanical shunter is equipped with a 204 horsepower Gardner engine. One of 141 built between 1958 and 1960. Today, two Great Western 262 tanks or prairies are being shunted around the yards. Number 4561 was designed by George Churchward and built in 1924 for branch line passenger work. Number 4160 was built after nationalization in 1948, but was based on Churchward's earlier tank locomotives. More locomotives are undergoing restoration, including number 3850, a Great Western 280, built in 1942. Other locomotives include a Class 14 diesel hydraulic, as well as a pair of Andrew Barclay 040s on loan from the Royal Ordnance Factory at Bridgewater. Bishop's Lydiard now, and the May Day Bank Holiday Steam Gala. A visiting Class 4 MT waits at Bishop's Lydiard for the railway's first through working of an HST set. Having arrived from Bedford, the Hertfordshire Rail Tour's Quantock Explorer disgorges its passengers for transfer onto the West Somerset. The 4MT is number 75069, a 460 built at Horwich in 1955. The absolute block system is in use on the southern section of the line, and at Williton, the line's main crossing point, staff and ticket are exchanged. From Doniford Beach, the the line follows the shoreline to Watchet. Then loops inland to Washford, re-emerging again at Blue Anchor. Blue Anchor is dominated by signal box and crossing. The lever frame is interlocked with a wheel that opens the gates, now the only one left in the West Country. Number 57069 normally resides on the Severn Valley Railway, but is on loan to the West Somerset due to a shortage of motive power. Beyond Blue Anchor, the line runs out across the flat coastal plain to the terminus at Minehead. In the yards at Minehead, Kilmersdon, a Peckett 040 saddle tank, built in 1929, gives loose-coupled shunting demonstrations. Finally, the 4MT and the large Prairie prepare to double-head the train which will return the rail tourers to their HST at Bishop's Lydiard. Early morning at Minehead, and another locomotive is prepared for a run up the line. Number 7802, Bradley Manor, is a Great Western 460 built in 1938. The Manor class was designed by Charles Collett and developed from earlier mixed-traffic locomotives. Chief Mechanical Engineer Andy Forster makes final adjustments. Bradley Manor has only recently been restored to running order and is also on loan from the Severn Valley. As steam pressure builds up, the first passengers begin to arrive.
Is it your officer? Can we go on it now? Lovely. Thank you.
Having reached working pressure, the manor comes off shed to make up her train. Pulling out of the station, the train is immediately onto the new level crossing over Seaward Way. The first stop is Dunster, an isolated station which lies almost a mile from the village which it serves.
Dunster has been described as a dream of a village. It inspired the hymn All Things Bright and Beautiful, and Dunster's historic buildings attract many visitors. The most distinctive building is the 17th century yarn market, which stands at one end of the main street. But the town is dominated by a much larger structure, Dunster Castle, built in 1070 on the site of a Saxon fortress. The Luttrell family occupied the castle from 1376. In 1976 it was donated to the National Trust, who now preserve the site for future generations. Early fortifications suffered during the Civil War, and much of the house was rebuilt in the last century. The extension of the railway to Minehead was also sponsored by the Luttrells. The gardens surrounding the castle provide another of Dunster's attractions. The climate allows a variety of subtropical plants to grow on the castle terraces, and the walks and garden command fine views over the Bristol Channel.
Departing Dunster is number 88. A 280 from the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, built in 1925. Blue Anchor. Upon reopening in 1976, this was the line's terminus. But today, the 4MT pulls in tender first on a through train. A fine beach and lines of caravans evoke memories of traditional seaside holidays. Even the station is in perfect keeping with its surrounding.
Yes, my name's Pete Trahan. I'm the present curator of the museum at Blue Anchor. It was opened in 1985. The building itself was originally the downside waiting shelter, which was built in 1904. Well, we were trying to attract our local items from the branch line Minehead to Taunton, and also from Taunton to Barnstable. At present, the main items are the nameplate Quantock from a locomotive built in 1899. The latest acquisition is a bottle of GWR 1939 whiskey, and posters and various other artifacts of interest.
Turning inland now, the line heads for Washford.
Not far from the station is Cleeve Abbey, founded in 1198 by Cistercian monks and dissolved by Henry VIII in 1536. The church was demolished, but the cloister buildings were adapted to other uses and have survived remarkably well. They're among the most complete in England and are now cared for by English Heritage. At its peak, the abbey housed 28 monks and numerous lay brothers. They led a life away from worldly distractions and took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. The great hall enabled the abbot to entertain in a style befitting his rank. The splendid wagon roof carved from oak is one of the finest in the country.
Cleeve is also home to the sheepskin workshops of John Wood, a family business established in Victorian times and now open to visitors. The raw skins are scoured or washed in the paddle area and then fleshed to remove any flesh or meat. Then they are pickled and tanned. The skins are dried with warm air, and finishing touches such as stretching, clipping, combing and ironing are added in the workshop. Finally, the skins are cut up and turned into slippers, coats and many other goods. Back at Washford Station, a museum is dedicated to preserving the memory of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. On the platform, Midford's signal cabin has been recreated from the Somerset and Dorset main line. Rolling stock includes gunpowder wagons, box wagons and open wagons from the NCB and the Army, as well as narrow gauge peat wagons and this diesel locomotive built for Cadbury's. But pride of place must go to Henry Fowler's magnificent freight engine, number 88. Leaving Washford now, we rejoin Bradley Manor. Watchet Station and 4160 again. This 262 tank belongs to the 5101 class, introduced in 1929 for local passenger services and use as a banking engine. The West Somerset Mineral Railway also served this port, linking Watchet with iron workings in the Brendan Hills. The two companies refused to cooperate and even built separate piers.
The church at Watchet is dedicated to a Welsh saint from the Dark Ages. Along with the dock, it's featured in Coleridge's Ancient Mariner. Watchet was attacked and burnt by the Danes at least 3 times, but the village is now a quieter place, although tourism has given the harbour a new lease of life.
Pleasure steamers have sailed the Bristol Channel since Victorian times. Motor vessel Balmoral is a traditional pleasure cruise ship owned by the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society. The motor vessel is kept busy throughout the summer. Waverley excursions run trips to every port and pier in the Bristol Channel, including many of the islands. Balmoral is a twin-screw motor ship capable of carrying 800 passengers and was built in 1949 by Thornycrofts at Southampton.
Enjoyable time. We're now going back to Minehead to conclude our evening cruise.
The Manor departs Washford, while we pick up the 4MT on the approach to Doniford. Doniford Beach Halt is the only new station on the line, opened in 1988 to serve the nearby holiday complex. A little further up the coast is the beach at Kilve. All along the cliffs and shore, the underlying rock has been dramatically exposed, providing geologists with a perfect playground. The next stop is at Willerton. Although it dates from the opening of the line, the station was considerably expanded only 9 years later. Here, number 4160 waits for a passing DMU. Willerton has a unique complex of Bristol and Exeter railway buildings, including a working signal box built in 1871. This is the principal passing place on the line. On a busy weekend, the activity is frantic. On the other side of the village, the landscape is dominated by massive aerials. These belong to the BBC, the first high-power transmitting station in the southwest. A museum now commemorates its achievements.
Today, the building also houses Tropicaria, an all-weather exotic jungle habitat.
Technically, Hank is a spectacled caiman, but nobody's ever heard of one of those, so we'll call him a baby crocodile. It doesn't matter what you call him, because he hates every one of you anyway. He's about 5 years old. He's a confiscated pet. He loves children.
Does he?
Yeah, he can't manage a whole one, but I put what's left in the freezer for him and get him a bit out each week, really.
We buy our rats deep frozen, and when it's feeding time, we just defrost as many rats that we want, and we offer food to them.
This is Whitney, and she's a Mexican red-knee tarantula. She's between the age of 12 and 15. She's not poisonous, she doesn't bite, so she's very friendly.
Outside, there are other, more hardy animals, including pigs, peacocks, and even lemurs. There's also the Shadow String Puppet Theatre, where Paul Doran's amazing puppets give regular performances.
Back at Williton, the old goods shed provides accommodation for the diesel fleet.
My name's Bob Tiller. I'm the chairman of the Diesel Electric Preservation Group Limited, based here at Williton on the West Somerset Railway. We have our base here at Williton, where we have concentrated our overhaul facilities. We're in the middle of the overhaul of 1035 Western Yeoman. One of our Hymex 7018 is currently out on the line in service. We usually operate a Hymex service at least once or twice every couple of weeks, depending on availability of steam locomotives and of stock. Also on site at the moment is 5149 Defiance, which is owned by Project Defiance Limited, or Class 50 Society. They are currently sharing our base to do some work to their locomotive, which involves rewinding the generator.
There are also diesel multiple units, including this 1957 Park Royal, which once operated the Taunton Minehead commuter service, as well as this 1959 Craven unit. The Steam Railway Trust is restoring a Great Western first-class sleeping coach. Dating from 1896, This rare survivor is a superb example of Victorian craftsmanship. The Great Western Society, whose sister coach was beyond repair, has donated woodwork, but full restoration will still take some time. Sturgumber is the smallest station on the line and home to Britain's oldest station master.
I am Joseph Henry Horn, station master at Sturgumber since 1978, roughly. I was signalman at Willerton from 1948 to 1969, and we'd taken the station house here, and we've lived here ever since. It's 46 years.
This quiet backwater has received a new lease of life from the Bee World and Animal Centre.
The main reason why we opened this centre was because we're very close to Sturgumber Station. A lot of rare breeds here, about 5 rare breed sheep, 3 rare breed pigs. We've got quite a large piggery at the end where people can see a lot of little piglets and things running around. We've got a lot of very hands-on type animals, very tame. So we've got a very big bee section here where you can see the extraction going on, bees behind glass, everything they're doing.
Further afield is Coombe Sydenham Country Park. The manor was built in 1580, and it was here that Sir Francis Drake courted Lady Elizabeth Sydenham. In the west wing of the hall, the Elizabethan courtroom has a wonderfully ornate ceiling. This room has been restored using original techniques and materials. It's part of a 40-year plan to return the estate to all its former glory. Outside, a traditional English garden provides an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. The estate has also restored the medieval corn mill. The water power is again producing genuine stone ground flour. The Coombe fisheries were laid out in Francis Drake's time and have now developed into a modern trout hatchery. Above the valley, the hillsides are grazed by fallow deer. Back to Sturgumber now, by way of the village.
People complain now because the station's so far from the village, which is about a mile. But in 1862, they didn't think anything of walking a mile.
Crocombe Heathfield, as the manor drifts gently to a halt. As well as a Grade 2 listed building, this quiet station has the luxury of 2 station masters.
The signal box you see here at Crocombe Heathfield came from Ebbw Vale Sidings South in South Wales. It was donated by British Steel, and we have re-erected it here, and it is here, of course, to provide facility for passing trains, especially the through trains that come from far afield. And also on bank holidays, our own trains will be passing here.
On platform 2, a display of permanent way equipment includes a section of the line's original 7-foot broad gauge track, as well as a mineral wagon from the nearby brickworks. The station also has a good collection of enamelled advertising signs.
It's always been a tradition on stations, particularly country stations on branch lines, to have nicely cultivated flower beds and cut grass to improve the appearance of the station for the travelling public. And we've maintained this here. When we took over, there were a certain number of cottage garden type flowers. We've added to these, and each summer we put in bedding plants and the like, so that we have a show of flowers right throughout the season, right until the autumn.
To the east lie the Quantock Hills, home to England's largest herd of red deer. The walk along the ridge is a favourite amongst ramblers.
Nestling below is Crocombe Court. The village of Crocombe is considered by many to be the gem of the Quantocks. The church dominates the village. It's perpendicular in style and radiates a powerful atmosphere. Inside, there are splendid wooden carvings in the bench ends. These include a mermaid, the Green Man, and 2 men spearing a dragon.
Finally, we enter Bishop's Lydiard. Each August, the station hosts a steam fair and vintage vehicle rally. Steam tractors, road rollers and vintage vehicles all jostle with a busy roster of steam and diesel engines.
Southwest heavyweight champion Clive Lambert will now attempt to pull the 100-ton train. The train now standing in platform number 1. So if you stand on platform number 2, you should get a good view of Clive Lambert making his attempt to pull the 100-ton train.
On the down platform, the club room and layouts of the Taunton Model Railway Group are often open to the public. Throughout the weekend, a Class 115 DMU provides a shuttle service up the rest of the line to Norton Fitzwarren. At Norton Fitzwarren, the West Somerset connects with British Rail. Occasional through trains are possible by courtesy of the Taunton Cider Company's sidings. Regular connecting services may be developed in the future if regional railways extend their operations to Bishop's Lydiate. Back at the showground, there is an impressive parade of engines. Vintage cars circle the arena, and a fun fair and donkeys provide entertainment for the children.
They're now becoming extremely popular with people who... I've got Hawk, I believe.
There's also a demonstration of traditional timber processing. Power is provided by a Fowler stationary engine, while a Sentinel steam lorry ferries the logs to the mill. We finish with the Pilgrim Steam Railway, Nick Baker's amazing 10¼ gauge portable line. Pilgrim was built for the Wells and Walsingham in 1984, and the entire railway packs neatly into 2 vans.
Oh, somebody's got her in it. Ford Capri Club. These cars now are in West Yorkshire and then sold and bought back and found and restored. And again, say one of the personal favourites, the Series 1 Morris 8. There's the saloon. That's to be that one known by Mr. McGiven of Coventry in 1993. Yeah, he's owned the car for 35 years, would you believe? I think I might have